Hello YouTube fans, here again. And I thought about doing this one to go on my Doctor Who connection. Because I made a mistake when I talked about Doctor Who. This one was called Attack of the Cybermen. And I said it was one when I was talking about, well, I was talking about Timmy Saffold the other week. The one what I made a mistake on was, it wasn't that one. It was The Two Doctors from 1985 that had a very underestimated Doctor Who. That being Colin Bacon. Now, I've got a DVD, right? And it's a true disc DVD. And it stars Colin Bacon and Patsy Talton, may rest in peace. Very good actor, another underestimated actor played Doctor Who, and a very underestimated actor, I may add. And on the special features, I think it's on the first disc, which if I remember right, they had the series, and it also had a special feature which now you cannot get. And it was an episode of the Tim Will Fix It show. You know, Tim will fix it for you and you and you with Jimmy Saffel. And it was to do his little boy, and he was a big fan of Doctor Who, and he was a big fan of Colin Bacon. And I remember they had one of the actors that played one of the assistants of Doctor Who, which was funny enough. I thought it was funny because I thought it was five Doctors Saf Perry. I don't know at the time whether the actors who played Penny didn't want to do it or said there was some reasons or whatever, but instead I always thought it was funny that they have the assistant that played in the late one of Tom Baker, the last story of Tom Baker, I should say, and appeared in quite a lot of the Peter Davisons as Doctor Who. So I thought it was funny that they had her, you know what I mean, she was Australian actress. I always thought it was funny they had that character and not Perry. But, you know, it's just me being nitpicker. And they had this little boy, and he wanted to be on that episode. But I believe now they bought it on Blu-ray, but they cut the bits out with Timmy Saffel. We all know what Timmy Saffel has done. This on DVD, I can't have a go at the BBC, because this was before he was discovered for being a fucking pedo. But again, fuck it, I will do, because we all know the BBC fucking knew he was doing it. Duh. But you know what I mean? This was ready before it come out. So now you've got it on Blu-ray now, the scenes with Timmy Saffel. Not like it's a bad thing, but yeah, I've got it. Not like I'm fucking boasting the boast. So that's where I made that mistake. So it was on the Two Doctors had the older ones, which I remember like the older ones appeared in Tom Pertwee's. The later ones were Tom Pertwee's, and they appeared in 2 episodes of John Baker. Sad to say, I don't think they were in any episodes of Peter Davison's, but they were in this one. And I don't like this episode. I don't like it because I thought it was interesting. I mean, when you think about it, you had the anniversary in 1972, you had the 3 Doctors, and then you had another anniversary in 1983, being the 5 Doctors. I remember reviewing that one. I loved that one. Really did enjoy that one. You know, it's a movie length, and it's kind of sad, really, that some of the actors you're never going to see ever again. And I remember renunciating that. But I like Colin Bacon. I mean, I like him as the Doctor. I already said he's an underestimated Doctor. I already said he's an underestimated Doctor. He is not the fault of the series going downhill. The fucking BBC and some stupid arsehole wanting to be like Star Wars, which is the lamest excuse ever, is to blame. And the fact that they sorted the episodes, made 2 parts instead of doing them 4 or 3 or 5 or 6, and they made them longer, which was stupid, and they lowered the days, they put them on a fucking Saturday, and some arsehole wanted to be like Star Wars. They're the fucking blame, not Joey Bacon. And in this, I really think he plays a good role. It's dark, but they did it abroad. So this was like a hot concert. Hot concert. You can see Joey Bacon is fucking boiling. I like the fact that they being one of the assistants being Jamie. Was it Jamie now? I'm thinking of the one who he paid in remember that the Emmerdale Farm. No, I'm not a lover of Emmerdale, but he was famous for being the Scottish guy. And you remember him in the days of Patsy Talton. He played his assistant. No, but was it Jamie, the character I'm on about, not the actor. Well, it's good that they brought him back. I just never understood why they didn't have his female assistant, the Tapirian, come back. I don't know why. Maybe they didn't ask them or they didn't want to do it. But I like the fact they bring him back and they bring Patsy Talton back. I always felt they should have made. I like the fact that they had to make the TARDIS look more like the 60s look. I thought they should have made it look more 60s because we all know Patsy Talton was in the 60s. Because all they did was just made the TARDIS look a bit old, but to me it just looked more like the days of the early John Bakers or the early Peter Davidsons. And I felt they sort of made it look more 60s looking, the TARDIS, when it came to Patsy Talton's. You do get a female actress who, funny enough, played in Break Seven. May she rest in peace. You remember the sci-fi series? Break Seven, you know, the female villain called the Queen. And this one guy, he wears sunglasses all the way. And it's not just he's trying to look cool. I believe he had very weak, sore eyes. So he had to wear these sunglasses. And I like the older ones. There's a bit of darkness in it where they think Patsy Talton gets possessed. He turns into this cat-like monster and he's trying to eat people. Sort of like that sucks. You can see a lot of darkness in this. You've got these dying, he's trying to eat people. Bit of cannibalism. And I like the fact that I've not sort of where they filmed it. I think did they film it in Greece? I know they filmed it either in Greece or somewhere like that, or Italy. So they filmed this episode in a foreign country, and you could definitely see that it was hot. You could definitely see they put a budget in this episode of the Two Doctors. They definitely put a budget in it, and you can see the budget in it. It was just the same that the ratings went down, and the Two Doctors, I didn't mind it. I think Patsy Talton really plays the Doctor still well as what he did back in the 60s. Stu plays it as good as what he did in the Five Doctors or the Three Doctors. The one thing I love about Patsy Talton, may he rest in peace, he is a very good Aston actor. He's a very good actor. When we by Aston, he can take his role into anything. When you see him play the Beast in The Omen, plays a really good, memorable role. When he played in Stars of Dracula, plays a really cheapy, perfy sort of role. He's a character who can change his character into anything, and it's like he's never left the role. He's not wooden. It just feels like he's not left the role of Doctor Who. He can still get into that character. And the thing I like about Patsy Talton is he's very eccentric. He plays it how I think Doctor should be. He can be funny when it needs to be funny, and he can keep it straight and serious when it needs to be serious. And that's one thing I hold Patsy Talton up. May he rest in peace. A very damn good actor. And I think Joey Bacon plays a damn good Doctor and all. Again, it has a satisfying ending. The Oberons die. Patsy Talton, as the Doctor, says goodbye. In one way, I cry in this. I cry because when you think about it, it was only 2 years later Patsy Talton sadly passed away. And they had ideas, I think, when Joey Bacon got to bring Patsy Talton back as the Doctor, another female Doctor. They had the idea to begin with when Peter Davison left, but for some reason it never got to be. Then they had that idea again when Joey Bacon got the boot. And as we all know, Patsy Talton sadly passed away. So this was the last time, the very last time we got to see Patsy Talton play that role, which I love him in. I really do love Patsy Talton as an actor. So to me, there's a bit of a tear in my eye. Yeah, at this point, you can see he was getting grey hair, and I felt Land at the Air 2000 on a black wig. But I do think Patsy Talton plays it good. It's just, it makes me cry though. It's the last time you're ever going to see him as Doctor Who. And he's no longer with us, may he rest. But I still think he's good. I still like Jamie. He still plays it just as good as what he did in the 60s. I think it has a satisfying ending. The Two Doctors has a shitload of features. The only down is the Jimmy Savile one, which I just told you about. But other than that, it's still a good episode. I still think it's a damn good, unestimated episode. A lot of people think of the Doctors, which is their favourite when it comes to anniversaries and so on. They rather think of the Three Doctors, or they think of the Five Doctors. Not a lot of people talk about the Two Doctors anymore. And it's a shame, because I actually like this one. I think it was a very unestimated episode. It's kind of a lighter, even though it's darker when you think about it. One day before that, you had the Attack of the Cybermen, but it's very dark. In this one, it wasn't, even though it has some darkness in it, cannibalism and all this, and some die with some tasses on. You had the woman that played in Break Seven as a villain. You had the Oberons come back. But I like this one. It had a good budget to it for BBC. Fucking hell. and it was a good one. But until then, people, be smart, be safe, and I'll see you later for some more movies, more horror movies, and more things on the way. And if you like what you see, press that magic button or leave a nice comment. Until then, see you later.